So today we're going to focus on one of the top players in the US who definitely was born in the 21st century. These guys who were born in 2000, I don't want to do the math. And it's Awonder Liang. And Awonder has gotten a lot better lately. And his FIDE rating is over 2450 and his USCF rating is over 2550. He came second in the US Junior Championship. And he's a two-time gold medalist at the World Youth. If he plays in the World Youth this year, which starts in about 10 days in Soviet Georgia, former Soviet Georgia, then he might get a third gold medal. Unprecedented. Okay, so I'm going to show excerpts from his games because I think if I show the whole game, that's too much for this audience. And then the last game I'm going to show is from many years ago when, as an 8-year-old, he beat an international master. But we'll save that for the end. So this game was played pretty recently against Konstantin Landa, a reasonable grandmaster, as I was called once. Maybe it was one of my opponents. Yeah, I was never called reasonable. And Awonder has the white pieces here. And this position, Landa decided to attack by playing the move knight d7, threatening the e5 pawn. It was such a strong threat that Awonder resigned. No, I'm kidding. Okay, if Awonder resigned, then I wouldn't be showing the games. And believe me, I searched about 150 games and he resigned to most of them. It's tough to be 9 years old. Okay, and here, the knight on d7 does something very interesting that's bad. It lines up the rook on d1 with the knight on d7. This means the black king has to stay on the knight and we have potential discovered attacks. So of course, when you analyze any tactics, I'm sure you all do this, that means they don't do it, is they analyze checks, captures, and threats, Dean Ippolito style. Unlike Dean Ippolito, occasionally they win though. Okay, so in this position, white has, I'm counting, hold on, 2 captures, okay? Take on c6 and take on e6. And it turns out one of those captures wins, giving the audience a real easy method to figure out which one. Right, Luke? Okay, and the answer is Jenna. No, Jenna's not the answer.
Oh, I know.
What? Who? You? Oh, wait, were you born in this century?
Yeah.
Then you could answer. Taking the e6 pawn. Now, taking the e6 pawn is easy to calculate. Now, if you're a computer, then you'll play the move rook g8. And if you have the white pieces, you're not afraid of rook g8. You're like, oh boy, knight takes e6 worked like a charm. Okay, so obviously Landa underestimated knight takes e6, and it's a move that you should see because it captures something and it unleashes an attack on the knight, and the black king hasn't castled yet. But black was not wary of such threats because the queens are off the board. So he was like all chill. He's like, my opponent's a little kid, the queens are off the board. I'll use my great experience to win a long endgame. And instead, it was one tactic after another, and he resigned. It was close. Good thinking. Okay, so black took. And I'm thinking if I had the black pieces, I would also miss knight takes e6 and go, oh, not again. And then I would think forever and ever and ever and ever, and I would play rook g8, and I would lose in 1,000 moves. Okay, but Landa's like, I'm going to lose right now. This is embarrassing. Okay, so bishop h5 check, and well, if the king goes to f8, we're just losing our knight. White would be a pawn up with a crushing position, so black held his knight. Okay, and now the knight is pinned because I said so. Okay, even if I didn't say so, it would be pinned. So now everybody in the audience knows what white did. Everyone.
Bishop takes b6.
Well, you're born in this century, so I'll give you a break. Bishop takes b6 check. Black has one legal move, and he is a grandmaster, so rook c7. Now, all the people in this class are foaming at the mouth. We have a front desk worker getting the paper towels right now, and they're like, take the rook, take the rook, take the rook, because they like taking rooks. However, the rook can't move, so taking the rook doesn't make a lot of sense. We should add on to the pressure. And if Paul Morphy was white, somehow he would play rook h1 to d2. Wow, what a strong player. Okay, but, well, now we have more specific rules in chess. We can't do stuff like that. So what Awonder did, he wants to put more pressure on the knight, and instead of doubling the rooks, which takes a long time, he actually tried to do that and make a threat at the same time, because this e6 pawn, which he took earlier, is not defended. So he played bishop f7, threatening bishop takes e6. Man, the two bishops are pretty good. And I don't really see a way to defend the pawn on e6. Does anybody here? We could illegally play knight f8. It's probably not a good move. Okay, now the problem is, if black wants to break the pin, which he did, then his rook is still trapped. So, I mean, if two super GMs were playing, resigns would be a good move. Okay, but I don't like resigning early. And obviously black doesn't either. If it was white's turn to move, bishop takes would be pretty annoying. So black played king to c8, which breaks the pin on the rook. So again, we need more workers of the chess club to give him paper towels, because they're like, bishop takes rook. But the rook can't move, so that's sort of pointless. So instead, he pinned the knight again and played bishop takes e6. Right. Now, I will forgive you if it's your move and you play bishop takes rook, because that's pretty winning. Okay. Black defended the knight the only way he knew how. Rook to d8. Okay. And now, white can play in Morphy style, because everything's pinned and attacked. I'm guessing every legal move wins. Okay. Rook h3 is a legal move, so that's probably wins. Right. But you forgot Morphy style. Do you know the opera game? Or was that before your time? What?
Probably before his time.
Probably, but not you.
Right.
In the Morphy game, what did white do?
D7.
Rook takes d7. He knows the opera game. He loves opera.
Especially Chinese opera.
Especially. Right. Now, black has a problem. Well, black's down. Hold on. Carry the 1. I have a calculator, and there's a button that says carry the 1. Futurama joke. It looks like white's 3 pawns up. All right? Okay. So black has to take that rook, because you don't want to be down 3 pawns. Although there's not really a good way to take the rook. Okay. So instead he resigned. But let's take the rook. If we take this way, that's a way, right? Rook d1, Morphy style. Man, the truth hurts. And now we're threatening bishop takes rook, winning all of black's pieces. What's that? What happens if what? I want to hear this.
What happens if
King b8. I'm looking, but I can't find a move that doesn't win. Do you prefer rook takes d7 or bishop takes d7?
Oh, yes.
You're from this century, I'm not, so you get to decide. Yeah. Okay, and so that doesn't work. We could take with this rook, okay, and as we say en français, c'est la même chose, oui? D'accord? Rook d1, yeah. Man, the truth hurts. It's funny how all the rooks are pinned and can't move. Okay, and when I'm playing a younger player, I try to avoid tactical sequences because they see them and I see nothing. So I don't like all that taking and sacrificing and pinning. That's terrible. Okay, and the computer, of course, in the original position, after the move knight to d7, I had to get Tal to wipe off the computer. It was like knight takes e6, knight takes e6. And it was like white's winning, although it did play rook g8 for black, because it saw that these forced moves were really, really bad for black. And black's bishops do nothing, except the bishop on b7, which is trapping the black king. So it does something. Okay, so that was a crushing victory for Awonder, one of many we're going to see today. And black resigned. Very nice. So here's another Awonder game against another Grandmaster. Let's see, which Grandmaster was it? Well, let's go find out. Against Kadric. I've heard of him. Okay, and this was in Philadelphia, I think, after the World Open. They had some norm tournament. Now, it's clear to everybody that white's winning for 2 reasons, even though like the computer says it's equal. Because white has queen and bishop against queen and knight, and more importantly, white has a bishop on f1. Yes. Okay, now black has a passed pawn, but black's king is a bit suspicious. I prefer white's king. Okay, and Awonder after rook e7, stopping rook d7 check, played queen a1 check. Okay, now you got to be careful if you have black here, because you're going to get checkmated. If your king goes to the back rank, there's rook coming down, even though the queen's defending it. Although king f8, queen h8 looks pretty good. You got to like that. And I think if the king goes to g8, probably rook d5 is good. Okay, so he played king h6. Now the computer plays queen f6, double question mark. Okay, that's why the computer's not one of the top juniors in the country, if not the world. Awonder is. Awonder knows a very important rule in chess, which I'm sure Alex Marler can explain. Always, you can guess.
Always play queen c2.
Queen c2 is illegal. What?
Yeah, I mean, queen f6 looks really good.
No, always repeat. So Awonder played queen c1 check, and then queen a1 check, and then queen f6. That's a fine player, right? And if my student played queen f6, immediately fired. No amount of money can bring them back. You could try. Send me as much money as you can, and we'll see what happens. Okay, so after queen f6, black's king isn't doing so well, but he has very good defense. Oh, wait a minute. No, he doesn't. Okay, so we're threatening queen takes rook, and this king's not doing well. And he played queen c7, finally getting his queen off the side. Now, the computer wants to play queen f8 check and says white's winning. And it doesn't like Awonder's move as much because black has some tricky defense where he's barely losing. However, since black didn't find the tricky defense, his move was much better. Okay? And anybody who's a fan of Patrick Wolf or Matthew Larson will know that white played G4. Okay? He's like, Patrick Wolf, I don't know who that is, but Matt Larson, G4. Okay, and now the computer wants to play some move like rook to e8, some move that nobody would ever play. Okay, and instead, and obviously in time trouble, and white's threatening g5, and g takes f, and queen g5 check, and h5, black took the pawn. Okay, and actually it's hard to understand why white played g4. Black obviously didn't understand, so he's like, all right, I'll take on g4. And what happens is, you want to open files, diagonals, and ranks to the opponent's king. And this actually opens a rank. Which rank does this open? What's that? The fifth, right. Just like Dave Chappelle, you plead the fifth. Okay. So this rank is open, and before there was a black pawn there, and it was all blocked off. And let's see, which piece moves like that? Oh, the rook. So he played rook to d5. Now, there's a tiny threat. You probably can't see it at home. What about you guys? There's a tiny threat of rook h5 check, forcing king takes rook, queen g5 mate. And black has a lot of good defenses. He played the best one. He resigned. Right. The computer method is rook e5. And then keep sacrificing all your pieces. Okay, also a good defense. Okay. And there's no way to stop rook h5 check and queen g5 mate, much to the chagrin of Alex Marler. Although you could play queen c1, but then your rook's hanging. Yeah, and in fact, rook e5 is better than queen, according to the computer. Man, the truth hurts. Because after queen takes rook, queen f8 mate is annoying. Yeah, once the pawn's on f5, black's king is really shut off. And Awonder had to see this idea of rook h5 check even when the pawn was on f5. How do you see that? Okay, so rook d5, a brilliant move, and white's king is perfectly safe because of the bishop on f1. Hooray! Black's king, not as safe. Okay, and black started with the queen on a5, which was terrible, and now the knight on a4 is terrible. King safety, very important when both sides have a queen and a rook, and even though Awonder was only 12 when this game was played, he understood that. Okay, another great Awonder. Now this game is very suspicious because Awonder won this game when he was very young, I think 9 or 10, and he was playing a Grandmaster, just like you at home. Okay, and they got this position, which the computer says is equal, but some positions are more equal than others. Now this game was against Grandmaster Larry Kaufman. Okay, and Larry Kaufman's a Grandmaster because several years ago he won the World Senior Championship, and they're like, you're a Grandmaster. Okay, so they were like, wow, okay, cool. And very suspicious reasoning. All right, but that gets some of the stronger IMs who are in their 50s and 60s to playing the World Senior. You might become a Grandmaster in one tournament. Okay, now this is a very complicated position because black has a lot of pawns in the center, unlike white, but white has a pawn on f6. Okay, and white's queen is either good or it's trapped. I'm not sure yet. If you're at my last lecture, you would know, but you weren't there. You're at home somewhere. Okay, so Larry Kaufman played queen d8. He's like, oh boy, I'm going to trade queens and not get mated, or I'm going to take the pawn on f6. He's like, either way is fine. I like not getting mated, and I like taking the pawn on f6. Unfortunately, neither one of those happened. What's that? He played rook takes e6. Maybe black saw that, maybe not. Okay, you can't trade queens now because then you're down a knight. That's a bad endgame. If you play queen takes queen, white plays rook takes queen. Okay, so we take the rook. And now, if you're a supercomputer, you play the right move and the game is about equal. And if you play the wrong move, then you get beat really badly. And they say, wait, you're not a supercomputer, you made the wrong move here. Like, you're cheating. You're actually a human. Okay, it's the reverse of what they usually do. And even though black is a grandmaster, he played the wrong move here. Okay, and you know, if I was in time trouble, even if I wasn't, I think I would have a tough time playing the right move. And I know the right move, but this position's tough. And this is funny, a lot of times I'm playing a tournament game myself and my opponent captures something, and I have two captures that look sort of similar to me. I could take with the E pawn or the C pawn or maybe with a knight. And I don't know what to do, and I feel sort of silly looking at it for like 10 minutes when maybe my opponent thinks one is really obvious, so what am I thinking about? And this would be one of those positions. Isn't the right move obvious? The answer is no. All right, now we're going to vote, and there's only two legal moves, okay? And both moves are very scary. It's like the election. He probably won't cut that out because I didn't say Donald. I didn't say crazy Donald. I didn't say that he's a loser. I said nothing. I didn't say any of that stuff, okay? I didn't say that. I'm not going to say that he said that today, even though he did. Okay, well, this gives Ben Simon something to edit out. Okay, he's been doing nothing the whole time. Also, look that up because he said that today. Yeah, you know he said that today. Now we can vote for either king f8 or king to h8. And remember, one move loses immediately, which is cool. The way you win is cool. And the other one, the computer says is about equal. Although, man, I'd be afraid to play both of them. Okay, now we'll give you an hour to figure it out because I get paid by the hour. See, that'll teach Ben Simon to leave. Now he edits stuff. Now you get mad because you got nothing else going on in your life. So I'll get mad at this free content. Okay, who says king to f8 exclam? Raise your hand. Okay, and who says king h8 exclam? And who abstains? Who votes for a third-party candidate? Ha, you're wasting your vote. And most of you didn't vote. The higher-rated players were wrong, and the lowest-rated player was right. Okay, you're rated like 100. And then your ratings added up are like 4,500. Okay, yeah, the strong players in the room, the 2,200, 2,100, they suggested they lose immediately. Well, the Grandmaster played it, so it's, yeah. King h8 looks really scary because you got knight e5 and knight g5 and knight f7, and the king's trapped in the corner, but that's the supercomputer move. King f8 actually loses immediately, well, in a couple moves. Okay, and that's what he played. Okay, knight g5, threatening queen f7 mate. If you play queen e8, stopping queen f7 mate, knight h7 mate. So he didn't play queen e8. Queen c7 is legal. Didn't play that either, I don't think. He played the computer move. Rook a7. I like playing rook a7 when it defends and attacks. Okay. All right, so it looks good. Looks like he's defending everything. Rook e2, Morphy style. Use all of your pieces to attack. Now black is in Wang Chung. Zugzwang. Black can't do Vishwa nothing. It's true. Yeah, he can't do any of the white's pieces are all over black. Black's king, not safe. White has everything attacking black's king. Queen to d7. Trading queens and easily winning the endgame against a young, 1900 rated, 1800 rated. I think 1800 was FIDE. Yeah. Now, there's something in chess called overworked, or as they said in my lecture when you had your comments, overloaded. I don't know what you're talking about. Okay, yeah. The queen on d7 is defending h7 and it's defending c8. So it can't do both. and we have an X-ray attack on the rook on c8. So as the person born this century pointed out, knight takes h7 check. I hate when that happens. And black has one legal move, but that allows queen takes c8 check. And then that's not good. Two legal moves?
Can I just take it or resign?
Yeah, little kids don't know resigning's not a move. The quickest way to win that I can see, which doesn't mean it's the quickest, is after this, we can always repeat. Always repeat. Yeah, and then here. Yeah. Okay. Although it says he played rook e7. Yeah, rook e7 really wins too. Isn't my mate in two? Queen e6. Now I wouldn't play queen e6. I would play queen e6, then queen c8, then queen e6 and queen. Yeah, repeat. Yeah, it seems like Awonder played rook e7, and this is also pretty winning. Yeah. Okay. He wanted to win the queen, not give mate. He wanted to torture his opponent. Well, he was 1800, so I'll give him a break. Okay, so that was a very nice attack by white. And for somebody who's very young, finding the sacrifice on e6 and playing rook e2, a quiet move, saying, well, you can't move anything, that's pretty impressive. And yeah, black is just totally stuck here. And these are the kind of positions super GMs like to have white, where the king is completely safe and your opponent has no hope. So a very nice game, beating a grandmaster when he was under the age of 10. Sort of the youngest beating the oldest. Shocking. Okay, now this is not a win, but that's okay. He's playing Aryan Tari, who's the best junior in Norway. And I actually see him at all the World Youths, and he's always fighting for first place. I think he's 16 now, and he's about 100 points higher rated than me. And he played on the Olympic team for Norway, and they came in 5th, which is pretty good because board 1 is Carlsen, board 2 was Rufus, board 3 was Doofus, board 4 was the triplet, and board 5 was some guy they found there at the Olympiad. And they still came in 5th. Okay, and you're like, isn't Hammer good? And the answer is no.
I was going to say that.
Yeah, because their players are very suspicious after Carlsen. But they came in 5th, and there you go. Now this was a game, so the big junior matchup here, and it looks good for white. And black played the move king to d5. Okay, very suspicious. Now I know what you're thinking at home. You're thinking, is this video over? You have to go to the bathroom. You can pause. Okay, so click the pause button. I'll let you find it. You can go to and maybe get a snack on the way back, and then you can watch the rest of the end game. Did you find the pause button yet? Okay, there you go. All right, now here it's obvious to everyone that white can win a pawn by playing. And then what? Yeah, otherwise white can't really do anything. White can do nothing and it's a draw, or white can win a pawn. Yay! And king b6, king takes a6, and wins. How could Awonder make such a blunder? Because it rhymes? Perhaps. Perhaps not. Okay, but unfortunately, white's king gets trapped on the A file, and luckily, or skillfully, black's pawn, and you knew this was very important, is on g7. You knew that was the key. If the pawn was on g6, black would be losing. Yeah, we have an extra tempo. And Awonder saw that. He's like, all right, go win my pawn, and I'll trap your king. And he did. And of course, you can move your king back and forth forever. That doesn't give a lot of winning chances, although he tried. Okay. And then a6. And now black has one move that draws. You can do it. g6. If the pawn was already on g6, that would be bad. And we just stalemate. In fact, instead of playing king a7 and drawing, white drew in a much funnier way. g5. And now black can let white queen and win, or black can play h3 stalemate, which is what happened. But it's very important that in this position, when Awonder played king d5, he saw that he would trap the white king, white would lose a tempo, and then black could play g6 and keep the king trapped. So even though juniors don't have good reputations for being good at the end game, pretty good at the end game. He saw all the way to the end and saw that it was a draw. And rook d6 also draws, but that's too simple. King d5 is much cooler. All right, now the game you've all been waiting for. Fischer-Kasparov. Oh wait, no. You have to wait a little longer for that. This was a game against Denis Fernandez, who actually I gave lessons to before you were born. And he's an international master, who's played in the US Championship, and he's playing a Wonder who's 8 years old. Okay, just like the kid that I taught today. Luke, how old are you?
8.
Yeah, so sort of like you. And you've beaten many IMs in tournament play? Not yet. But you have a good excuse. You haven't played any IMs in tournaments. That's a good excuse. Have you played an IM in a tournament game?
No.
Yeah, see, that's a good excuse. Okay, but you will, because now you're going to look at this game. Okay, so a Wonder has the white pieces, and black plays a sharp Sicilian. A good idea against a kid. Okay, and they play an open Sicilian, obviously. Okay, now for the crowd, not for the smart crowd at home, they know the answer. If white plays e5, what do you recommend for black?
Queen A5.
Queen a5 check, winning the pawn. So white played here. And black stopped e5. And even though white is 8 years old, instead of playing super sharp, he plays Karpov style. Bishop e2, bishop e3. Okay, the most solid. e5, not a move I tell my students to play in the Sicilian. I say never play e5. Then they don't listen to me. Maybe I should tell them to play e5. You think that reverse psychology would work, Luke?
What?
Very good.
Why do you
Okay.
say that?
What?
Why do you say
You weaken everything. Horrible. He played e6 and e5.
That's the most thematic thing to do.
What?
It's like the most thematic
No,
thing to do.
terrible. No, they don't teach chess. No. No, then they all play e5 and you crush him. He's just trying to beat you. Don't listen to him. He was fired. Okay, so knight to b3, bishop e6, rook d1. And this is pretty boring play from white, but a Wonder actually prefers slow and steady, the turtle method, and then he wins the race. a4, positional, knight b4, f4, rawr, attack. Takes, d5. So black's playing very interesting, which I don't recommend against children, but black's position's fine. e5, knight e4, queen c1. He saw his queen was attacked. Pretty impressive. Queen c7. Otherwise, white would play knight takes knight, and that would be good for white. Knight takes.
Wait, why isn't black playing knight c3?
Knight c3, then I would recapture.
Yeah, I'm just curious, like, is a pawn weakened, like...
Well, I'll play c4. Huh?
Ah, gotcha.
Yeah, then it's less weakened. Then you might get in trouble because you're pinned and bishop f3 and takes and c4. Yeah, this seems pretty risky. Okay, so queen c7, takes, rook takes queen, no longer possible. And this pawn's hanging on c2. Oh no. Knight d4, defending the pawn. Bishop c5, pinning the knight. c3. And this game is very reasonable and probably should end in a draw, but white gave black the sugar me do, even though he was 8. Takes. Bishop g4. Man, there's 2 bishops, even at the age of 8. He's like 2 bishops. Man, a Wonder likes to take on e6. Okay, I think I'm playing a Wonder in a norm tournament next month. Don't hang my pawn on e6. Okay. Yeah? Remember the previous, the bishop f7, bishop
Just don't
e6?
play e7, e6.
Then he can't take my pawn. Well, yeah, but if I play f takes e6, then I could d takes e6. I could still get in trouble.
Wait, what happened if the knight takes f4?
Yeah, that's what I would do. But that knight on d5 is pretty good. Bishop on f4 is pretty bad.
Well, knight takes f4, so rook takes d8.
What?
Well,
Those moves are all legal. Yeah. What? Are you suggesting knight takes f4 is good? Seems like it's okay. Okay. No, knight takes f4 is legal. Queen b6, also legal, defending the e6 pawn. Okay. Bishop g5, rook e8, c4. c4 is, yeah, attacks the knight. Rook takes f1, giving up the f file. Bishop e3. So notice how all the pieces are hanging. And when you're playing a small child, don't do that. You want to play positional and block up the center. And they're like, what is this? I've never seen this. All the pieces are hanging. They've seen that. They were hanging their pieces before you were born. And you were born 50 years before them. So they're really good. Okay, now Alex Mahler would lose on time here with both colors. Right? You're like, what? Bishop e3? You'd be so mad. You'd be like, what's happening? All right, well, it's queen's attack, so he moved it. Seems reasonable. Okay, and trade the pieces. And it's clear now that white's doing well. White has the f file. White has the center pawns that are moving up. White's king is safer on h1. e6 is hanging and not defensible. And if you trade on d5, I could take, and e4 is hanging. So it looks good for white. And as you know at home, they don't know at home. When you have opposite color bishops, that's good for the attacking side. When there's queens and rooks and bishops on the board, there's good chances for checkmate. As we saw Awonder doing that other, okay, wait, more notes to myself. If Awonder has a queen, rook, and bishop, that's bad. Remember we played rook d5 and mated that guy? So I gotta stop Awonder from taking on e6. All right, this is my preparation for Awonder. Okay, so queen takes b2, bishop takes e6 check, king h8. And the winning move Awonder played at the age of 8 to beat the international master was queen h5 by an 8-year-old. Good job. Yeah, threatening, queen takes, e8 checkmate, and queen takes bishop better than checkmate because the guy has to suffer. Yeah. Yeah, so that's pretty good. Played probably IM strength or so, I would say. Open Sicilian. Usually open Sicilian, when you're that young, you don't have 1,000 games. Because when you're really young, every game is e4, e5. Every game. Then when you see Sicilian, people are playing all kinds of nonsense. Bishop c4 on move 2. So open Sicilian for an 8-year-old usually doesn't have a lot of experience. Black was a very experienced international master, and still, he didn't get an advantage with black. It was an up and down game, and eventually White's attack succeeded and black did not because of the calculation. And I think the key move of the game was queen d1. Probably black didn't expect that. He was thinking all the pieces are hanging, white's going to play bishop takes e3, but queen d1 is much stronger. The queen wants to go to d7. We want to take the knight on d5. With the opposite colored bishops, black is in a lot of trouble here. And queen takes b2 is obviously a terrible move in a very bad position. So very nice game from Awonder when he was 8. Probably the best game out of all of them, considering. And I've been told by the gawking rabble in my audience that he's 13 now. You agree with that? Yeah. So if he does play in the World Youth starting next week, even for you, he'll be in the World Under 14, and it'll be, if he wins, it'll be his 3rd gold medal. And I remember a few years ago when he was playing in the Under 10, he was the highest rated American player there. In the Under 10 by FIDE rating. He was higher than the Under 18s we had. So his FIDE rating is pretty high. And he came 2nd in the US Junior Championship to Jeffrey Zhang and only lost to Jeffrey, I believe. So he's a real big talent, and hopefully we'll see him here more at the chess club playing in super strong events that we have. And well, he's definitely going to be America's next Grandmaster. Even if somebody beats him to it, we'll just say that Awonder did it. All right, so that was chess of the 21st century. I don't think Awonder is going to play chess in the 22nd century, but it's possible. Unlikely, but it's possible. No, that's not how it works. All right, but good try. That was 8-year-old math there. All right, see you all in December. We're going to have Nemtsova and Yasser Seirawan as the resident GMs. Hopefully they'll be spinning around. You need some more rotation over there. All right, Ben Finegold out.